to my YouTube channel, Be the Hero and Rescue Yourself with Kelly Fuhlman. I know that there are a lot of things that are going on right now, and I just want to utilize my YouTube channel to really give you guys some guidance on creating the courage and becoming your own hero. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you've seen my welcome video that I posted a couple of weeks ago, you'll know that this channel is all about creating the courage to become your very own hero. And I have had the opportunity to meet so many amazing people in my personal and my professional life. And they have instilled in me lessons that have helped me create the inner courage to put my own cape on and become my very own hero. So, one of the lessons today is about leadership lessons and leading in a crisis with the coronavirus and companies and organizations shutting down, laying people off, or some people are working from home and they just don't know what's going on, and they're kind of wandering around their house wondering, how much toilet paper do I need to buy, or do I need to start rationing out food, or did I start rationing out money? Do I need to start pulling out of my savings account and put cash in my sock drawer? I mean, what in God's green earth is going on right now? And what's going to happen with my job? What's going to happen when we get back, if we ever get back, right? I mean, this is what people are thinking. So as a leader, mid-level management, CEO, executive, what are some of the things that you can do to lead and have the best possible outcome in a crisis like this? And so I'm going to go back into when I managed a very large team with DeVry University. I had about 15 high school program representatives throughout the state of Texas. And we know what happens in Texas. What happens in Texas? Hurricane season, right? Right around hurricane season. And I had just finished a full year of leading the team in Texas with DeVry University as their director of high school programs in the state of Texas. And the following year in 2008, Ike decided to come along, which was one of, they say, the top six. It's number six in the United States for worst hurricanes or most violent hurricanes to come through. It had a sustained mile per hour wind of 110 miles per hour. I think what they said was total 143 miles an hour, which is a very large hurricane. And not just that, 195 fatalities, $35 billion in damages, and the economy just came to a screeching halt. So, what happens when you are in college recruiting, and how your people make their numbers is to be able to get into high school classrooms and speak to juniors and seniors. And that is a part of how you are judged with your numbers at the end of each semester. And this started out right in September, which was pretty tough. Pretty tough because this is the beginning of the school year. This is when we are able to build for our summer class, and this is where we get the majority and the bulk of our interested students who are looking into filling out applications and looking for admissions to different colleges and universities, because usually by November, December, most seniors already have their choices done, and juniors kind of sort of have their thoughts or choices done. But what happens when Ike comes through, everything is flooded, or the wind has blown everything down, and the student population is not there. Schools are shut down, and not only are they shut down when they open back up, because they're so behind, they are not allowing your high school presenters inside the classroom because they've got to play catch up. So what do we do? What do you do as a leader in this kind of crisis situation? And how can you help your team walk through this and come out the other side feeling better about things, less stressed? They're still going to be stressed, but less stressed. And as a leader, how can you make sure that you take care of your team and also take care of yourself as well? So we're going to talk about three things today. We're talking about communication, how important it is to communicate and what to communicate to your team and when. We're going to talk about practice self-care as a leader, and talk to your people about caring for themselves and their family as well. And then we're also going to talk about what are some of the things that you can do to take advantage of opportunities. So sometimes we see that we're going to lose our numbers, or we're going to lose momentum, or we're going to lose revenue. But how can you take advantage of this opportunity and make light of it and be able to solidify and create solid relationships within your organization and help your people create solid relationships with their clients or their customers or the people that they serve? So those are the three things that we're talking about. So the first things first is communication, right? Communication is key. With my undergraduate being a Bachelor of Science in Communication, I feel verbal and nonverbal communication is huge. And back in 2008, we didn't have things like Zoom and Blue Jeans and webinars and all that kind of stuff where we could, and FaceTime, where we could really kind of see physically how our people are doing, and they can look at us and see our face, and we can actually connect to them face to face, even though we're not physically face to face, kind of what we're facing right now. We had to do phone calls, and we had conference calls and all that kind of stuff. But the first one is communication. So I always tell folks all the time, and especially me getting into this crisis management, even just a year after being a director of high school programs and only 2 years into a leadership role, assistant director and then director. So this is going into year 3 for me, and I'm trying to figure this out myself. So communication was big. So I opened up my old communication books and was like, how can I communicate in a crisis? What are the things that I need to do? Number one, facts. Only talk to your folks about the facts that you know for sure. Make sure that you have key bullet points from your boss or your communications, marketing, PR, legal, compliance, whatever you want to call it. Make sure you have key bullet points in front of you as you are talking to your people, your frontline staff, or your leaders of frontline staff. So leaders of leaders or leaders of frontline staff. Make sure you have those key bullet points when you are speaking to them. Don't go into assumptions. You know what assumption means? It makes an ass of you and me, right? So please don't assume. Don't say anything that you don't have hardcore evidence on, and make sure that you work with your compliance department and your PR and your communication department on the bullet points that they want you to communicate to your team, right? There's only so much that we can talk about, and you need to make sure that you talk about the right things. Number one, we want your people to have the right information. And number two, we don't want you to get in trouble and potentially lose your job because you decided to communicate something that wasn't right, that wasn't truthful. That's number one. And then don't create non-essential calls. So right now your people are flipping out. So my folks, as the hurricane was coming, and we know that weeks ahead of time that this hurricane is coming, and we kind of sort of knew that the coronavirus was coming, this COVID-19 was coming, but we didn't, and some of us took it seriously because there was misinformation from top leadership at the top. Yeah, communication, key, government, kind of important. The media was blowing it up, but we don't trust the media much because of all the fake news. So they were the boy that cried wolf. Thanks, media, because you'd been crying wolf all this time and handing out fake information. And then now our government wasn't communicating to us how dangerous this virus is. So we got that going. And so we have all this miscommunication, and we're sitting here trying to make informed decisions, and we can't because we don't have all the information we need. And then some of us who don't trust government or don't trust the media, we're like, what the freak? What do I need to do? So we're confused. So don't communicate things that you assume on. Thank you, media. No assumptions anymore. You're killing us. And don't create non-essential phone calls. So I'm going to give an example, and I'm not going to name names and I'm not going to name companies, but one company that I currently know of, the boss called a call and said, let's have a call at noon. So then, the person that was going on the call was like, is that noon Eastern or is that noon Central? Because the U.S. headquarters is over in Eastern Standard Time. And is that Central? When are we having the call? What's the call about? What's an agenda? What's going on? Maybe because everybody's freaking out, wondering, is this going to be the call where I get told I'm laid off? It's kind of nerve-wracking when you're like, let's have a call. Okay. When? Don't know. So then he moves the call from noon to 1. and then moves it back to noon, and then everybody logs on. He's not on there. Everybody logs off, and then he messages everybody. Everybody needs to get on the call. So then he gets on the call. There's no agenda. There's no overview of what he's going to discuss. There's no real information on what's happening and why the phone call is happening. And then the leader goes on to say, well, I'm going to let a frontline employee, hurry up and get on. We're going to wait on her because she knows more about, the port of California and the port of Houston and what's going on with that and shipping and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know much. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? As a leader, you don't know, you haven't done the research, and your frontline staff knows more than you do? I don't think so. You are the one that needs to have the information. You are the one that needs to have all of the contacts and everything that everybody needs to be able to make informed decisions. No assumptions, and do not rely on frontline staff to be able to give that decision or give that information. If they have some information, they can send it to you, they can text it to you, and you can look it up and make sure that it is true and it is verified before you give that information out to your people. But do not depend on frontline folks to be able to give you as a leader information. And do not call a call for no damn reason, because everybody is watching the news, and we kind of already knew they were looking at the Port of Houston and Port of California to see if they were going to keep them open or shut them down. Period. End of story. So what was the phone call for? Was it just to check in to see how everybody was doing? Was it to check in to make sure that you were at home, that you're in front of your computer? What was the reason? Tell them the reason why. Just give them the truth, because that's really all we want right now, especially in a crisis situation. Just saying. So what I did with my team is I called a call. I had a call put together for my Houston team. My Houston team consisted of, South Texas, down in the valley. Then we had my folks that were in the Beaumont, Houston area that were going to be massively affected. And so we all had a call. And the number one thing that I wanted them to do is, I said, self-care. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to take care of your family. You've got to make sure that you're hunkered down. Please do not worry about your job. Your job is going to be here when you get here. I want y'all to be alive to come back. So please go worry and be concerned about making sure that you're hunkered down, making sure that your house is taken care of and boarded up the way it needs to be. Please make sure that you get plenty of water, because we know, plenty of toilet paper, because at that point, shit is shut down, y'all. This is not coronavirus. This is a hurricane. Stuff shut down. So make sure that you and your family are good. And please, 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 the other thing is check in with me and let me know you are okay once it's all done and over with. When you can text, when you can call, please let me know that you are safe so I can not worry, because me and myself, I loved my team so freaking much. We were all a family. And I'm thinking about it. I was worried about them and their family and their kids and how they were going to fare through all of this. So that was what this phone call was about. Don't worry about your job. Don't worry about, DeVry University at this moment in time. Worry about you and your family and get all the supplies that you need, because this is going to be a rough hurricane from what the Weather Channel is saying. Okay. So that was call number one. Call number two is with my assistant director. Plans. What are your thoughts? What do you think we need to do for when y'all get back? She already had some thoughts and some ideas that I wanted to go over with my bosses and my leaders to see if they would approve. So she already had a plan. She already had a thought process. She already had a strategy on how we were going to pull out of this. And also, we had to start looking at what schools were going to open up when and how and who was less affected. So we really had to wait after the hurricane to see which neighborhoods were less affected than others and what schools were going to open up early enough and who was not. So really, honestly, the very first phone call we had before the hurricane hit was make sure that you're safe. Don't worry about your jobs. And with my assistant director on her own by herself, what plans or strategies are you thinking about? And then I started working those plans and strategies while she hunkered down with her family to help build upon that, work with my leadership, make sure that they were okay with that plan and strategy, and then start putting something together. So when they were back, if they did come back, if their houses weren't demolished, right? If they were in a safe place to where they could get back to work, then we would have a plan or a strategy that we could attack and be able to make up for lost time. We would never make up for all the numbers that we missed out on, but make up for lost time. Something else that I also did is I was working with the home office, letting them know what was going on and communicating with them and letting them know that I was going to have to distribute numbers, right? Because here was our numbers. I'd already done a forecast. I'd already sent all that in. This is what we were going to have for first semester. This is what we were, how many leads we were going to have, how many students were going to potentially enroll, all that kind of stuff. And then I had to go and reforecast, right? So I had to request for my team to get some wiggle room with their numbers, because they obviously were not going to make their numbers, just because of the school closures and us not being able to let us in. But we would be able to make it up on the back end and second semester and make sure that we were on top of things. But this first semester, it wasn't. So I wanted them to have some leeway. I didn't want them to lose opportunities. So I was behind the scenes fighting for my people to make sure that they felt like they could attain the number that was put in front of them. And I had to forecast and I had to fight for it. And it took a lot of approval process to be able to get through that, but we did it. And we did it, and we did it well. And then the next one is practice self-care. So we just talked about communication, and how important it is to communicate not only to your people, but communicate to your leadership, and also communicate to home office about what's going on and your numbers and what you're going to have to reforecast. But also self-care. So number one is making sure that you make sure that they are taking care of themselves, getting the essential things that they need to be able to protect their family, and then also help them learn how to deal with the stress after the hurricane was done and over with, or after, when everybody gets back from this COVID-19. So it's so very important to make sure you teach them how to self-care, and not just self-care for them, but also self-care for you as a leader, because here you are trying to develop a plan, trying to figure out, you're working from home, you can't see your team, you can't be with your team, and this is your essentially how you feel you should as your work family, and you're wondering how in the heck can I help them, and you're stressed. So you need to develop self-care techniques. Meditating, working out, riding your bike, walking your dog, figuring out how you can work out inside your house if you're a gym rat like me and love going to the gym and now your gym is shut down. What can you do to be able to help yourself with self-care? How can you chill out and relax yourself? So talking to your folks about meditation, telling them some of the steps that you're taking to make sure that you take care of yourself and that they need to take care of themselves. So very, very, very important, because if you look at my self-care YouTube channel, it also says you can't give what you don't have. So if you haven't been able to take care of yourself, then you can't give to your team, and your team can't give to their community, right? If they haven't taken care of themselves. So make sure that they find ways and they communicate what they're doing to take care of themselves, and you tell them what you're doing to take care of yourself. If you lead them this way, remember, they will follow, okay? So just the behavior that you want them to start doing, you need to also follow along too. So the second is take advantage of potential opportunities. We see a loss of opportunities. So we're looking at this as a loss, and it's going to be a big loss. And it was a big loss to my team back in 2008. But we also are going to see big losses within companies and organizations. How can you kind of negate as many of those losses as possible? So what the plan was when every one of my high school presenters were able to get back in communication, we decided together as a team to put together a care basket to send to all of our favorite teachers that we had been working with. And we worked with economics and government and history and English. So all of our favorite teachers that we had been in their classrooms for years and years and years, and they allowed us to take up time in their classroom to give career and college workshops to their juniors and seniors we wanted to give them a care basket because we knew that water was not in plentiful. We knew that snacks and grocery stores had been closed down because a lot of them had been flooded out or their tops were blown off with wind damage and all that kind of stuff. So we brought care baskets to every single one of our favorite teachers and all the teachers that allowed us in our classroom. Inside of these care baskets was a sweet note from each presenter that they had allowed into their classroom. And inside of this basket were water bottles and pens and pencils and stress balls that had DeVry University on it, right? And we had snack packs with raisins and almonds and chocolates and crackers and peanut butter and all kinds of stuff inside of these care baskets to give to our teachers to kind of help them with some self-care. And it felt really good to do that as well. And we didn't do it. Some of the teachers, we weren't able to get back into their classes until the end of the year. Into the school year. Some of them we weren't able to get back into until the following year. We didn't care. We wanted to make sure that we took care of the teachers that have allowed us in their classroom for so many years. And it gave us an opportunity to really reconnect and see how everyone was doing in the community. It also allowed me to take advantage of the reaction of the baskets to my presenters and them like, oh my gosh, I just got my basket. Thank you so much. I absolutely love it. We are so excited about having the basket that we want you to come in because we're kind of behind and our kids are kind of all over the place. Maybe you can come in and help us refocus. And we were able to actually book a lot more business than we thought because of the baskets. We weren't doing the baskets to book business. We just wanted to make sure that our teachers were taken care of. It was so very, very important to help our people get back out there, reconnect with their communities, reconnect with their teachers and their educators and their counselors and their principals to see how they were doing. And then it also allowed us to see which school districts were more affected than others and which one were going to be open and closed, right? So take advantage of this. Take advantage of this opportunity with your customers and your clients. Send them care baskets, send them a sweet email, text them, call them, FaceTime them, see how they're doing, find out if they are in need of anything. I mean, shoot, if you've got clients that are in the DFW area and they're like, man, I need some toilet paper. Dude, if you ordered toilet paper, you better ship some or bring some and drop it at their front door after you Lysol it. Just saying. But it is an opportunity to reconnect on a more personal level with your clients and also be able to reconnect on a more personal level with your people as well. The other thing too is, as a leader, I wanted my folks to know and understand that I supported them 110%, not just 300 or 400 miles away, that I actually had my assistant director book a week long of lectures for me in a school district that was opening up because all of her other people were so busy and they needed to make up their numbers. So I went ahead and put my lecturing shoes on, and as a director of high school programs, I was not responsible for numbers at all. Personally, my people were, but I went for a whole week and just said, you know what, I'm going to lecture. And I lectured Monday through Friday. Man, Janet, girl, I hope you remember that. But you scheduled me a full week of lectures and I had an absolute blast. But she said something that was really, really cool. She was like, girl, she goes, you told me to book a whole week for you, and I didn't believe you when you told me that you were going to go and lecture a full entire week for my team, and you did. Much respect, which gave me an opportunity to win the hearts and minds of my team. And even though we had to readjust our numbers and our numbers weren't as high as we would like them to be, we still busted our readjusted numbers out of the water. And I was really, really proud of my team and how they went about getting through this crisis. But it all started with leadership, and it all started with communication. It all started with self-care. And it also started with taking opportunities and trying to see the positive out of a negative. So I hope this helps my leaders out there that are going through this crisis issue right now with the COVID-19 stuff. And I hope this helps everyone else who is in a leadership position. And you may even be a mom in a leadership role in your home, and you have turned into principal, vice principal, SRO, English teacher, history teacher, all of it. You have become all of one in your home, and you are in this crisis mode with your family as a leader in your family. So again, communicate as much as possible. Take care of yourself, right? And also make sure that you seize the opportunity to build more solid relationships, and don't just let people go just because you can't get any numbers out of them anymore. So I hope this helps. I am so excited to hear your feedback from this episode, and I truly want everyone to stay safe, wash your hands, stay healthy, eat your fruits and vegetables, drink plenty of water, and remember, be your own hero today, right? Because today is the day you put on your own cape and fly. Y'all be sweet. Thank you so much for tuning into my podcast, Be the Hero and Rescue Yourself with Kelly Fuhlman. If you enjoyed listening to my podcast or watching this YouTube video, please follow or subscribe to my channel and walk with me through my journey of celebrating my very own heroes and an opportunity to learn the valuable lessons they taught me over the years, which allowed me to gain the courage to wear my very own cape and be the hero of my life. You can also follow me on Instagram at kfuhlman, that's KFUHLMAN, at Facebook, /KFuhlman1, or on LinkedIn, Kelly Fuhlman, MBA. Also, please leave your comments below because I see feedback as a gift, and it will guide me on how to help you gain the courage you need to rescue yourself. Be sweet, y'all. Thanks.